Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
In enterprise sales, they say you require face-to-face meeting always. Why? Now that COVID-19 will expedite that change, which is for good. Correct? That people are thinking about virtual communications.
Some of the things are fundamentals to the process of sales, but some of the things have to keep changing as the overall ecosystem, the climate changes.
Yes.
Like today, COVID-19 is like really impacting our lives. It has impacted sales, as you mentioned as well. Some of the things, because it's a black swan event, are never going to go back to how they used to be done earlier. So in terms of sales process, what do you think has been the impact? What are the some of the things that have happened because of COVID-19 that even after this problem dies down, we are not going to go back to how it used to be done earlier within the sales process?
I think for me, this is a process which was already happening. Only thing is the recognition of the impact has become more with the sales owners and their organizations. So I think there was a report in 2014 by Forrester which says death of B2B salesmen, right? Which actually predicted by 2020, which is this year, 1 million sales job, B2B sales job would be lost only in US. So this was predicted.
Wow.
And they had predicted not because they even knew that pandemic will happen. They knew because fundamental shift was happening, that people were becoming more and more online. So one is that the nature of products and how you are selling was getting changed. Correct? They also predicted that all the jobs will decrease. One job will increase, which is of a consultant. What is a consultant? They said, consultant says, enlighten me. The customer says, enlighten me. A person who can enlighten the customer, which we were talking earlier. So two skills. One is extraordinary communication. The other is deep expertise in that subject area. What has changed certainly is adoption of virtual selling, and what will change, which is for good, because it will decrease cost of sales. In enterprise sales, they say you require face-to-face meeting always. Why? Now that COVID-19 will expedite that change, which is for good. Correct? That people are thinking about virtual communications. It will also, what will change is that organization which was used to selling in a flight manner, one person is always on the flight. The person has to change his or her skills. Organization has to invest in those trainings which enable them. So organizations have to change. People have to change fundamentally, that okay, storytelling is important as a skill. Doing storytelling in a remote manner is important. The other things which will change is the learning aspect. I think people are spending more time in learning. So people will read more books. Even in my organization, we are more amenable now to learning. Not only seniors, I'm looking at people who are actually doing the work. They are more amenable. So this learning aspect in terms of books, in terms of podcasts, in terms of online courses, this has increased.
Amit, there is another aspect about doing a sales job in India is that there is a stigma attached to it. Like someone is looking for an arranged marriage and someone says that, okay, this person is in a sales job. It's not looked at very favorably. And it's an old thing, and I don't know why it exists, because sales is so important to, the functions of a business. It's fundamental to running a business, and yet we have that kind of a stigma attached to sales jobs in India. What do you think about that? What is your message for students who are considering what careers they should be building?
If you do a research of word sales, I think it was published in a book called "To Sell is Human," correct? Where they have said that if you search for a word sales, the words which comes out is pushy, sleazy, all the negative words. That's the perception. In fact, in US, a lot of perception is about used car salesmen, because used car salesmen, what's the. So I think there is always negative perceptions about several things. The question is, what are we doing, and what am I doing? So the question is we and I, correct? So I think one is from we perspective, from an ecosystem perspective, and that's like you are doing a session currently on sales, evangelizing sales as a life skill. It is not a profession. It is a life skill. So more people like yourself, who evangelize. I have taken some step. I have written a book in it. Small step. correct? Now I have a website called salespreneur.co, and soon there will be a channel called Salespreneur on YouTube. Similarly, NASCOM, I work closely with NASCOM. We run a GTM webinar series on NASCOM. We run various workshops, correct? So sales as a life skill, if it is evangelized, correct, then also in business school. So I'll share an example. I went to IIM Kozhikode, correct? After writing my book, I was invited to IIM Kozhikode, and the professor told me that, Amit, first of all, you are coming on Sunday, correct? So it's a holiday. The second is that nobody applies for a sales job. People are not interested in sales jobs at IIMs or any business school, correct?
Right.
Mostly. So, when I spoke to them on a Sunday, my first question to them was, is sales a profession or a life skill? 66 students were sitting in the room, 66, correct? All of them said it's a life skill. And the entire drift changed. I think the session went for 2.5 hours in the first round. Then in the second half, another batch came. Correct? So it is about, one is what we are doing, we including larger ecosystem like you, me, correct? And evangelizing that. And the second is, as a person, when if the person recognizes this one thing, that if sales doesn't happen, the entire economy will come down. Entire economy. I mean, what could be the most catastrophic element or most fulfilling element? Correct. So you can take it either way. If sales doesn't happen for 1 week, 1 month, what is happening? So if a person feels that I am contributing to that economic growth, then the person will be in sales. Correct. And if at a broader level, if you, me, and other people join hands and evangelize sales, correct. There's also a third element, acronym of sales. So this is written in the epilogue section of my book, The Ultimate Sales Accelerator. So, I asked a question when I have finished the book. You write epilogue, correct? So I was writing it and I asked a question, and the question is, what is the true meaning of sales? And the answer was, the word sales stands for following: S for serve, A for authenticity, L for love, E for expertise, and S for smile. Serve with authenticity, love, expertise, and smile. If you can't do anything, remember sales as this: serve with authenticity, love, expertise, and smile. Then we all are in sales.
Amit, on to more tangible things. The role of data in the last decade in selling, especially in B2B selling, has only gotten bigger and bigger, because of course now we have a lot more data available. We can pull out so much more data. So many databases are available. We understand our users, our customers a lot better. How do you think the role of data has evolved, and where do you think we are going from here, especially in a sales function? How the data role has evolved?
No, absolutely. It was always there, and as technology has progressed in last 10 years. So let me take examples, so that will help.
Yeah.
So if you take LinkedIn, I think you also you use LinkedIn. We all are on LinkedIn, correct? So LinkedIn, I always say that to my team also, when they say I have to build a database, we have to buy a database from this company or that company. I said, okay, you can explore that. If I ask you what is the world's largest database of B2B buyers, what would you say?
It will be LinkedIn.
Correct. It is the largest customer data platform. Everything is available on there. Title, such wonderful data points. And if you subscribe to higher versions like Sales Navigator and all, you can do multiple searches, correct, or filters. Right. So that is one wonderful element when we are looking at sales. Who are we selling and where are we selling? Correct. When we look at sales, who are we selling and where are we selling? The two W's we have to answer, correct? So those two W have been made very easily by LinkedIn, correct?
Right.
Then we come, so this is the data element. Then when we talk about, how are we selling? There in the lot of tools where when we do analytics, for example, let's take an example of email. So marketing automation is there, correct? We run marketing automation. We run campaigns for email, correct? Now, with data right now, what you can do is you can analyze not only effectiveness rates of your campaigns, correct? You can do A/B testing. All of this is happening because of the technology which is giving us data, correct?
Right.
So I think these are the productivity is another angle, because when we look at data, let's say for example, earlier I have to, as a salesperson, I have to send 3 messages, correct? So 3 messages I have to remember, okay, I have sent to 100 people. Okay, this person has replied, not replied. I have to then remember, okay, second message, this person has replied, then I have to send third message. Now there are softwares through which you can create sequences, correct? You can create segments and sequences, correct? Through which they can run on their own. Now that is impacting sales productivity. It is helping the personalization element, because you can create those sequences or those narratives, correct, based on specific segments, correct? So if I am selling to, let's say, restaurants, I create a different segment. If I am selling to fashion, I create a different segment. If I am selling to chief marketing officer, I create a different segment. If I am selling to VP digital marketing, campaign manager, or head of merchandising, you understand, ability to use data, and then we can also check which messages worked or didn't work. Okay? So these are the elements. The productivity angle is also one key element of the data, how we have used, apart from where are you selling, who are you selling, okay? And the effectiveness of campaigns.
Right. It often happens that you talked about how you should be able to give a TED talk on a particular product to be an expert at it. That's a good way to test if you're an expert at it, and it's important in sales.
Yes.
The other thing is also that you need to, and I'm not sure about this, and which is why I wanted to ask you, do you really need to be in love with that product or service that you're selling, like as an individual yourself? Like I would love to sell, for example, Netflix shows, for example, because I love those products, the way they are made and the quality they come out with. But for example, I don't understand software, okay, and I don't know if I am in love with it or I like it so much. So then how do I do sales of stuff that I'm not in love with?
Yeah, I think this is is a one-liner called "Do what you love, love what you do." So irrespective of sales, that is true. If I go back to my definition of sales, which I got in Vipassana meditation, which is serve with authenticity, love, expertise, and smile. Correct. So the element of love, which is loving the area which you are selling, so loving the product which you are selling, loving the segment which you are selling. If you do not love it, what will happen? The other element, which is A for authenticity, correct, will not work.
Right.
It will not work. I can guarantee you, the facade which we can put, facade which you can put on top, it will not last. When we talk about love, look at, mother and son relationship, correct?
Right.
That relationship is on love. If there is a facade to it, or you can talk about, husband, wife, or two people who are dating, the dates which do not materialize into engagements or marriage. One reason is that the love may not exist, or it may be a facade. The other person may say the person is not authentic. So when we can do that in personal life, Kunj, the same thing is applicable. So that faith word we were talking about, Shraddha. If we do not have faith in what we are selling, to me it is almost criminal. Find something else. Find something else, and it is doing injustice to yourself also. If you do not believe in something, so suppose I don't like selling CRM, Kunj, let's say, correct? So then why I'm working? If I think, no, I will not get a job, there is not correct. Nowadays days, as we say, consultants or people who are inspired about selling, they are needed. Correct? So if you are not comfortable with a specific area or product or this thing you are not selling, correct, then leave it. Find something which you are inspired on. Correct? So I think that love aspect. Thanks for bringing that, Kunj. If that love is not there, now I can almost say, guaranteedly, even you might be able to make 1 or 2 sales. It's like, somebody who wants to complete a marathon but doesn't have a firepower to run even 100 meters.
I understand the love bit, but there's the whole knowledge bit also. So for example, you're selling a tech product. I think for
Correct.
more than 20 years, you've been selling a variety of different tech products essentially. And you are a tech. So it is second nature to you to understand what the product. How important is it for you, for example, for anybody to be a techie, to be selling a tech product?
Yeah, so see, again, the metric is very clear. For me, for sales, there are only two things. You have to be extraordinary communicator, and you need to have deep expertise in area which you are selling. And for simplicity, I have called this person to be a specialist doctor. Be a specialist doctor. Specialist doctor means eye doctor, or a heart surgeon. Very simple symbol. Specialist doctor. A specialist doctor has expertise in something, deep expertise, and the person is extraordinary communicator. Correct? So now if, for example, I am currently selling technology, correct? And if you look at it, I also sell sales. So right now I'm selling ideas. There are so many sessions I have done across. So I'm not selling technology there at all. I'm selling sales as a life skill. Correct? So for which I have to have deep expertise in it. Correct? So I have written a book on it. Correct? I have been working on it for so long. Similarly, let's say meditation. Now, if I have been meditating for years, Vipassana, especially from last 2.5, 3 years. Correct? So since I'm meditating for so long, I can take a session on emotional quotient of sales. Correct? Right. So basically simple, and I can also take a session on emotional quotient in life, because I consider sales as a life skill. So the point is very simple. If you know something very well, it can expedite your sales career or this thing. Correct? So suppose you are selling CRM and you join another company. That means your learning path might be shorter to the newer company. Correct? And there is another person who have not sold CRM at all. Correct? Yet he has an inclination to learn that faster. He has that thirst. So he will learn. Correct? So in my team, lot of people have joined who had no background in the software which we were selling. Correct? Lot of them were from services. So they were not in product sales. They were in IT services. Correct? So from IT services to SaaS sales, there's a distinct difference. Correct? So I have also come across people who were selling hardware. Correct? And I think I came across one sales head of a very famous product company. It is not nice to name, but basically very product company, and he was in the consumer goods industry, correct? And he became head of sales for a very prestigious software company. So as I said, I think if we look at that structure, if we have acumen and desire to develop expertise and communication skills in that area, that will help. If you have that already, it will only expedite it, nothing else. So IIM Ahmedabad typically, is very famously known for pressure cooker style of teaching.